Hi, MrRepzion. I watched a video by Peter the other day. Username is Tooltime something 9000. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, in his video he was talking about something that I had sympathies with. The whole compassion fatigue, in terms of, I guess, re-involving oneself, or involving, I guess in my case, because I haven't brought my channel to the point, to anywhere near the point that he has, or you have, or really anyone that I'm subscribed to and I regularly watch videos of. But this is fatigue in terms of addressing issues that have been beaten to death, and I don't know, I guess capital punishment is, it just seems like one of those things where a lot, like, all has been said about it, but I guess, I mean, this all comes back down to what I put down in a video I did some time ago about compulsively arguing on the internet, and I'm not here to argue, but I'm having that. You know, I appreciate, I guess, your honesty in talking, in you know, bringing up the contradiction that you have within yourself, and so I have thoughts of my own that I think would be very helpful in this discussion, and while I would have never gone on the internet to talk about capital punishment, because I think it's just such a I guess, like, high school philosophy, high school, like, morality classroom topic. It's just so elementary. It's like I don't even think about capital punishment anymore, unless it's in the case of some big news story where, like, oh, some innocent guy was put to death. I am, through my own narrow, I guess, attention span, feel like there was a conversation to be had with another person, if not with the world at large, or to struggle with these philosophical issues for some intent of, like, you know, seeking some ultimate truth that's very relevant to me personally. It's not that at all. It's just I see there's a conversation to be had, and really, I guess this can partially, I mean, this can be a response to Peter's video, because I'm making this a response to you. Maybe I'll link this to him on Facebook, but I guess to kind of answer something that he brought up, not really as a question but as an observation about how he doesn't really see the point in thinking out loud, you know, in having in making YouTube videos for the sake of deliberating things philosophically, because he can just do that on his own. The reason I do this is wholly, I think right now I have this feeling of it being wholly personal. Despite how I might, maybe in some other mindset, I'll think of what I do differently. But in this state of mind right now, I'm thinking of it as this kind of interaction that I'm making with other real people, because I mean, there's only so much there's only so many ways that a person can think, and so a conversation can be much more interesting than just me thinking. And I've also gone over before about how actually, I'm not sure if I made this video yet. If I have made the video about it, it's in my backlog. I have not uploaded it yet, along with a lot of other things, and if not, it's a video that I was thinking about making. It's just that I find myself seriously thinking about issues much more often when I'm having an actual conversation with another person, and also having a conversation, I guess, through my channel with viewers and through acquaintances and a few friends that I've made online in this community, than when I'm on my own. Because when I'm on my own, I find that, you know, my mind is sometimes blank, and if I'm pondering things, it's usually in this very vague emotion, like I guess feely manner. It's much more of an emotional experience than kind of a linear or just kind of like a essay style intellectual one. So I guess when I put on the camera and talk, and usually when I'm walking, I have this whole thing that comes out where just my thoughts are it's like I'm having I am having a conversation, except it's with the environment around me, which is why I've strayed away from doing these kind of videos where I'm sitting down, because this is a kind of a stale environment. But fortunately, this is a video response, so I'm having a conversation with someone rather than with a stale environment. I might take another bite of this cookie. I realize now that I've not addressed the actual topic yet directly. I would like to make a fun note about how when I first started my YouTube channel, this is not something that I've made very obvious in most of my videos, but I am a Christian, and when I first entertained the idea of making a YouTube channel, I kind of pictured myself as in terms of presentation, in terms of subject matter, in terms of how I interacted with other people on YouTube, the kind of weird future image hypothetical YouTube channel version of me that I saw is actually quite similar to you. So I find it very very funny. Somewhat disappointing in so much as I don't put out. I very rarely put out content. Like I've said before, it's because, you know, I'm caught with a bunch of personal things, and I do have these videos from last year that I'm subtitling because they're not in English, and that's kind of brought up my procrastination in terms of because I really want to put out videos mostly linearly in the order that I've made them, unless this is a video response where I have to post it, and so I get a response in real time. But I mean, not so. So you know, it's kind of disappointing in terms of like, you know, you put out things regularly, and I see that you're having a schedule. You're alerting people that you're not going to be putting a video out tomorrow, which you know, for me it'll be much more of an occasion for me to put out a video than to not put out a video. But it's not so disappointing because I guess the way that my channel has naturally evolved, not to use a word that has these kind of connotations of becoming better or becoming something more sophisticated. It's not that at all. It's just had this natural change, where I guess the kinds of videos I make are, I guess, much more satisfying than I guess where I would have gone if I was this kind of like, oh, I'm a YouTube Christian, but you know, not to put any negative connotations on what you're doing, and I haven't seen many of your videos, but you know, I've seen several so far. I recently subscribed to you. I got acquainted with you from an old, I guess, TJ recommendation or TJ collab that you did maybe a few months ago. But yeah, I'm really just talking about myself and what kind of interests me, because I think that, you know, like capital punishment, the whole religious debate thing has been really, it's just been just done over and over again, and every time you see a new spat, it's always just some guy coming on who has not acknowledged or seen any of the previous debates that have been had, and this is usually on the Christian side, or the religious side, whatever, and they're using old recycled arguments that don't work, and then they just, you know, all the people that are all the more sophisticated or experienced YouTube atheists or anti-fundamentalists who have a sense of dignity don't even get involved, because, you know, they've had this debate, you know, 3 times or more. So the people that do respond them are just like, you know, people that, you know, lesser known people, and you know, it's really just the same debate reincarnated over and over again. So that's why I find myself much more interested in things, I guess, things that are less trodden. I mean, I got turned on by Conference Report's channel some time ago when I'd first gotten into YouTube videos, which was through I think it was mostly TJ's channel. But before then, I realized this is like much more than a response to you. But I guess since I'm here and since I'm talking about this stuff, since my mind has gone on that route, and I'll just follow through with it. When I first got, no, before I was even interested in YouTube, I had this image of vloggers being like these guys with like no life and like going online to talk, and I guess it, you know, it wasn't even, there wasn't much reasoning behind it. It was just this kind of like, oh my gosh, like people who argue on the internet and talk about their personal life. I always had this kind of like personal stereotype of the vlogger being like some emo guy going online and, you know, talking about, oh man, the world's screwed up, man, and like my personal life, it's like I went to eat raspberry pie and like the guy over there on the counter was mean to me, and like, I don't know, anyway, but you know, I got shared a TJ video, and you know, I saw it as being this more interesting conversational thing, even though TJ, you know, at the point where I was acquainted with him, he was doing less responses. But I guess the demeanor was there, the feeling was there that, you know, I was in the presence of someone else, and they were, you know, having a serious address. They were talking as though they were in a conversation, and that kind of personal, I don't know if I can call it respect, that kind of, I guess, personal touch or attitude that you get in a real conversation was there, rather than, you know, this is a performance, and this is and I'm going to speak as though I'm like speaking to an audience. And I guess some members of TJ's community, you know, the kind of people that subscribe to TJ Does Life, have kind of whined that, oh well, the Amazing Atheist channel has like gone to a more performer style, and yeah, I mean that is true, but I guess I've been witness to that transition, and so I'm not bothered by it. I've also, you know, I'm still entertained by TJ's videos, and anyway, not to make this about TJ, because I'm doing a video response to you, MrRepzion. So yeah, so I've always I've kind of steadily seen me personally taking part in the online, you know, religious debate as being a very pointless endeavor, because I most likely end up just, you know, siding with a lot of, you know, the anti-dogmatic side. I would probably be siding more often with the YouTube atheist side, not in terms of a conclusion, because I guess my reasons for being a Christian are very much my own, and it's not something, it's not something that would be relevant at all, or even I guess relatable in a conversation with someone else about how, okay, well, these are the reasons why I'm a Christian, and they are also the reasons why you should be a Christian too. Like that's not the case, because really, I don't. All of these kind of the ideas and these kind of arguments that are only based off of I guess there's the kind of academic arguments about how, like, oh well, here are a priori reasons why God must exist, and it's like there's always, even the best arguments have they always have, like, one skewed premise that allows you to misinterpret sense or I guess misrepresent the truth in order to, like, make a bunch of other arguments on top of it that lead you to saying, okay, well, God must exist. And so I wouldn't really be anything. I wouldn't be a novel addition to that discussion. And really, the only additions as a Christian I could make would be that kind of, okay, well, like, I'm a Christian, but you don't necessarily have to interpret things this way, or it would be to speak to another YouTube Christian and tell them, okay, well, look, like, there are other ways to think about this without necessarily kind of rubbing up against your Christianity or whatever feelings you have that whatever. Anyway, so this has gotten enough off topic for me to no longer be interested in that line. I'll take another bite of my cookie. So I was talking about conference reports. So yeah, so what I was more turned on by was how he would well, firstly, go on these walks. I was very interested in the walk and talk. It got me to look at other users that were doing walk and talks, and I've made a couple of friends there, or acquaintances. And but what kind of got me most interested was how, he wasn't talking about the issues that all of YouTube, the YouTube vlogging community, was talking about. He wasn't talking about these stereotypical, philosophy 101, high school morality classroom arguments or topics. He's really talking about while people like Thunderfoot were going at it with whoever at the time he was going at it with, about typical atheist versus religious fundamentalist arguments. Fred Conference Report was talking about these very, like, subtle things in prevalent in modern day society, that have that tell interesting things about the bigger issues. So it was always, like, very, like, non-obvious topics that because they're not present in most of our minds when they really get out there in terms of having a discussion about them. They're firstly they're interesting because they're novel, and secondly because we haven't really looked at them seriously. They end up saying a whole lot more than we would have expected. And so I was really interested in that kind of direction to take with a channel. And I guess those are the ideas, the walk and talk, and the more subtle topics are really what brought me to where I am today in terms of my videos, even though it's not very far. But there are a lot of videos that I will eventually be uploading. They'll be very frequent once I get past my subtitled Paris trip videos. But now to address what you were saying. Okay, so to get back on topic. I addressed you. I'm addressing you because I think your video about capital punishment is at least in my mind, the way that it works is like it's the beginning of something, and you are acknowledging that there's a difference in that you're pretty much saying that, and no way am I saying that you're saying this idealistically in that, like, okay, well, this is the truth, that in terms of reason I think this. No, I do think you're saying that, okay, in terms of reason, capital punishment is wrong, but if I were to be caught in this kind of emotional investment after my family was killed by someone, I would want them to be dead. But what it kind of comes down to, if we are to finish it, end it there, and say that, okay, well, this is it. This is what I would think. I guess the stance there is that capital punishment is good if I do it, but it's not good if everyone else does it. And you have to take that somewhere else. You have to say, and then what? And therefore, capital punishment is something that we should still say no to. I mean, because you can't have everyone saying that capital punishment is okay for me, but it's not okay for everyone else, because whenever the occasion would arise, then everyone would go towards capital punishment. I think there's I think that's the reason we have laws and we have legislation, and because people we don't think that it's a practical thing or a good thing for people to always take justice into their own hands. And so I think when you realize that, I would be, I don't think capital punishment is right, but I would think it would be right if it happened in my circumstance. I think what you have to go to from there is acknowledge that is only because I have an emotional bias, and because I only think that capital punishment would be good while I'm in an emotionally compromised situation and I'm not thinking objectively or clearly. And obviously you aren't anymore, because you just said that objectively you would think capital punishment is not something that other people should have done in their situations. You should say that, okay, which means that through the law I should not have capital punishment applied to my own situation, because I am in an emotionally compromised state and I'm no longer matching up what I want with what I think is correct and what I think is efficient or right or good or whatever. I guess to add a little personal note, I don't think that I would want the whoever did this to people that I love personally. I don't think I would want him dead. If it was to prevent, if it was like while he was in the act, yes, I would have killed the person to prevent it. I don't think I would be simply trying to incapacitate him. I mean, like, my loved one is being attacked, there's no room for mercy there. But, I mean, after the fact, the deed is done. And I'm not really interested in getting to a whole debate about recovery or the whole aftermath of that, and I guess the ideas behind that. I just wanted to put a personal note on this video without getting in depth into any of the philosophical sides of it. But yeah, I always didn't like the attitude of, oh well, you don't know how you're going to act in the extreme situation, because there's always, what I don't like about it isn't the idea in and of itself, because it is true, you don't know how you're going to act in a situation until you're there. But what I don't like about it is that it always has the connotation, I guess the implication of what they're really saying. They're not really saying, oh, you don't know how you're going to act in that situation. What they're really saying, what they mean is that no, we're all selfish animals in the extreme situation. We're all going to act in ways that defy our moral convictions, and it's really to say, okay, well, if you think, if you have these standards, you know, it's kind of like, in order for them, I have this impression that in order for people to feel good about themselves, in that they don't think that they would act according to their own convictions, that they in this situation, they say this kind of like defense mechanism that, okay, well, no, you're not good either. We're all people that would become selfish, and would. So I don't know if you know what I mean, but you know, this is the kind of implication that I get from whenever people say this. It's a way to lower their own expectations for themselves, and as well for others, to make them feel good about these low expectations. And I think that the problem with that is, no, like, we shouldn't be taking this conversation and saying that I mean, of course you have to acknowledge the fact that you will be emotionally compromised in that situation, but it shouldn't be to the end of saying, okay, well, that's that, and you know, that's acceptable. I think we should be taking the opposite way, and we should be using it to educate ourselves and to strengthen ourselves and to allow us to understand ourselves better, and so that in that situation we don't compromise with what we are persuaded to be the right course of action. And I think right now I'm thinking of contraception, because you know, that's the typical thing where you're talking about, where people talk about, oh yeah, well, education is key. You don't want to be caught in a situation unprepared. So kind of thinking back to my high school experiences, because I used to get a lot of that in morality class about how, oh well, no, like, you don't know how you would act in that situation. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just making this correlation because you know, in high school, around that same era was when we were having our sex ed. But anyway, so yeah, I guess I'll leave the video with that. I do feel rambliness coming on, so I think I'll leave it at that. So, I mean, I would probably be able to carry on if this was a walk and talk, but I guess the staleness of my environment is starting to affect me. So this video isn't going to go much anywhere else. I love cookies. So there you go, MrRepzion. Yeah, I'll end the video there.